Welcome here, Justine.
Thank you so much.
This is where broadcast meets podcasts. The kind of work that you do on TikTok and on all your socials, we don't do that kind of work here, but we try.
No,
we're not as good as you are, but we try sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be talking about the work that you do and the impact that it has, and also how you started and how you got there. Okay. Before we get there, we're usually three of us here. Our third person.
Yeah, I realized Janet is
Umeona Jano ayuko?
Yeah.
Sasa Jano aliniachia homework yake hapa. Yeah, being Jaruoma quotes. Now you dem alinita Eriko?
Eriko Malines. Hey, okay. Mkonadi. Yeah. My nicknames.
Yes, on a brand.
Okay.
On a brand. So, today's quote, I want to give you the quotes. See if you would rightly know who it was. And if you don't, then I'll give you a couple of hints.
Okay.
I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. Oh, wow. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear.
Is that Martin Luther?
Oh, my God. Hey, this girl knows her history.
It's kind of easy. That was easy. That was easy. I think because you did the voice.
Oh.
Yeah, like I know the words. Yeah, the voice kind of helped.
That was the hint.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do those words say to you?
I think it's our life is supposed to be simpler than we make it out to be. And also we live in a world that is filled with a lot of horrible things. So if you go around and carry that pain with you, you are not going to have any room for anything that helps you calm down. And so I think love is easier because hate would probably destroy you. Yeah.
It's too great a burden to bear. I mean, it'll just constantly weigh you down. You hate this, you hate this, you hate this. You just negativity. And that negative energy just drags you down.
Absolutely.
The fact that we say hate is too heavy a burden to bear, sometimes I'm like, but some people need to be hated a little bit, just a little bit.
To your point, I think you also kind of have to be a really good hater. Yeah, you have to be a good hater.
So whatever you do it with excellence. Yeah.
Yes.
If you're hating, hate excellence.
I hate you.
Yeah,
yes.
Do it well. Do it well. If you're loving, love well.
Yeah.
If you're hating, hate well. Where it's deserved. I don't know, but it is a heavy burden to bear, though.
Quite a heavy one. So you consume news like all of us do.
Yes.
And then you look at that news and then you see the other side of the news. Okay? So like recently, there's been all this conversation about the e-citizen platform and what it means and you actually created content around it.
Yes. And
we have that clip that I want to share and play. So this is a fake walk with Justine and what she said about the e-citizen.
Here at eCitizen, we make sure you receive now to the trailer for GOK's upcoming release. From the makers of 750 million trees a year, Nairobi River's 30,000 jobs, or 20,000 jobs, or 13,000 jobs, comes 1 million chapatis a day. While this could help with child hunger that stops kids from concentrating in class, it's still one side of the malnutrition equation. Additionally, wheat farmers may have taken a giant farming L as GOK allowed millers to spend 124 billion importing 3.2 million tons of wheat, but at least you may soon get 1 million chapatis a day. Watch. Numbers do lie. Out on top of Yaba trucks near you.
Numbers. I feel like we need to rewind selector.
Yeah.
Because
Philo, ever play this thing again?
Now to the trailer for GOK's upcoming release. From the makers of 750 million trees a year, Nairobi River's 30,000 jobs, or 20,000 jobs, or 13,000 jobs, comes 1 million chapatis a day. While this could help with child hunger that stops kids from concentrating in class, it's still one side of the malnutrition equation. Additionally, wheat farmers may have taken a giant farming L as GOK allowed millers to spend 124 billion importing 3.2 million tons of wheat, but at least you may soon get 1 million chapatis a day. Watch. Numbers do lie. Out on top of Here at eCitizen, we make sure you receive
You may soon get 1 million chapatis a day. Numbers do lie, Justine.
Numbers do.
Just going back into so we start with our malnutrition numbers and how we're doing. Then we see our agriculture. Our wheat farmers have surplus produce, but then the government has allowed for importation of wheat, which may disenfranchise the farmers. But you will still be able to get kula chapos with this imported wheat.
All of that. Don't worry if you're a farmer with surplus. You know why? There'll be 1 million chapos a day.
Exactly.
Don't worry if you're malnutritioned, because we'll have
1 million chapatis a day.
Worry not, worry
Guys, what is that?
So doing those particular videos, I think I'll try and explain the e-citizen one. I think it didn't play all the way through.
We'll play the e-citizen. We'll try and play the e-citizen
I do the
again,
1 million chapatis a day.
Let's do the 1 million chapatis.
Usually when I look at a news story, I can get like 10 to 15 jokes in one story. But in this particular scenario, I wanted to connect the dots between how farmers are suffering, how kids are malnutritioned already, and with 1 million chapatis, how does that solve childhood hunger if it's not actually like a well-balanced meal? So those conversations, it's not just about the chapatis themselves. There's so many people in that domino who are affected by the policies that are in place, and also how the government continually ignores the large factor around these very specific issues, just to give you like, oh, here's 1 million chapatis. We have a machine. Like, that's insane to me. Yeah.
But why are you connecting those dots? Why are you bringing them together? Like, are you saying that they are related?
They are.
How?
They absolutely are. When it comes to food security, farmers have gone through fake fertilizer, and they lived through that. And then recently there was a story in The Nation, the one about wheat farmers who lost so much money after farming wheat, I think, for a year, and then they couldn't sell it because way more wheat was imported into the country. So if they're advertising 1 million chapatis a day, someone has to be supplying the wheat that...
The unga.
Yes.
Which comes from wheat.
Yeah, it's coming from somewhere. So those 1 million chapatis, you're not supporting purely just the business that, or like the person who's going to make those chapatis. There's also where the wheat comes from, where the unga itself comes from. And if you cannot connect those dots, then you're not seeing what the 1 million chapatis a day means.
Why go this way with your comedy? You could be making relationship jokes, which you do when stand-up sets.
Yes.
But why 1 million chapatis a day? Why e-citizen? Why every other thing that's wrong with this country?
First of all, Mariam, sometimes I do positive things that's happening.
That's true. Okay, that's true. That's true. Fair.
Just to be fair, yeah. It's
Sometimes.
Sometimes,
yes.
yes.
It's just like it's so much harder because the negativity is overwhelming. But also, I try to be as truthful as possible with my work. I feel like journalists are doing incredible work, and sometimes the stories that they tell are lost in our mediascape of a billion things happening, especially if it's the news stories in between 1 million chapatis a day. You probably will not find that story. So I try as much as possible to tell as much of the truth that's out there, especially stories that don't continually or are not talked about as often as they should. Yeah, that's why I decided to take this particular journey.
Right. You're right. So much does get lost in the noise every day. 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 stories. And then there's one big one, usually like 1 million chapos a day. And then we all hang on that. What do you think is the biggest takeaway when people come to your TikTok and to your Instagram and they watch Fake Woke with Justine? Do you think they laugh and then forget? Or do you think they laugh and they're like, but are these people serious about 1 million chapos, and it triggers something? And what was the goal? Was it to make people haha the pain away, or to educate them without, just slipping it through?
I think a lot of people need to laugh. We are living through very tough times. A lot of people are losing jobs. like life feels very bleak for a lot of people, and consuming news as it usually is, it's like you're fighting a war. Like a lot of people feel like they have to fight so much to just get through like 40 minutes of the news or whatever news story that they're reading or whatever is on their WhatsApp, because we know Kenyan families love a WhatsApp forward.
Yeah. As received, forwarded.
Yes, forwarded as received. My brothers are very complicit. Please stop sharing your stories. But at the same time, I think what I intend to do with my show, at least, is to kind of lessen how much the burden of consuming news is, but you still know what's going on. But at the same time, to be able to understand what systemic failure does, to be able to decipher what's a story that could seem so small right now, but could have a larger effect in the long run, or to just see through the BS sometimes.
The BS.
Yeah, because it becomes very difficult. Politicians are they're very good at the word game. So whenever I can figure out what's the core of the story, that's why I do my show. Sometimes stories take a little longer than just like putting it up in the, like, if I find a story today and I feel like it doesn't have grounding, I'm like, we'll have to wait a little bit on this one, and then I can always bring it back. Yeah.
Something Eric likes to tell me and Janet all the time. He's like, siasa usieke kwa lungs, ama ni kwa heart. Usieke kwa heart. Weka kwa lungs. So you just inhale and then you exhale it.
Okay.
And so it's harder said than done. I think he's mastered it.
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
It's still very difficult. I mean, because like you're saying, it connects with your life. You look at it, it connects with your life, you get angry, but choose love. Continue.
How do you then dissociate? Because you're consuming, and then you're making it into something that is humorous, easier to consume, easier to digest, but you still had to do the actual work, the actual digging.
That's the worst part. That's the worst part of it. Because I think we were talking about this just a little earlier, how both of you understand how difficult it is to go through so many news stories and just keep the integrity of the stories that you're trying to tell and the messages you're trying to pass across. So I don't think the only way is through, you guys. The only way is through. You have to keep going as much as you can. I'll take the lungs idea. I'll like breathe it in and exhale it.
Especially when you end with looking at the funny side of it, I think you already do it. You're already your own therapist, because let me guess the journey that you go through. So you're here, you're consuming. How do you consume your news? TV, newspaper, online.
To be fair, it's Elon Musk's app.
Okay. So you're there. You're constantly now on X and you're just consuming. So you see something, then you find a link, then you'll click the link, it'll take you to the website and you'll go further. If it's a video, you'll go to, and then you'll see more, right? So as you're consuming all these things, you are adding onto what the knowledge that you already have. I'm seeing this, and I remember yesterday there was a story about, the malnutrition levels in this country. Then I'm seeing this and I'm saying, yeah, so chapati is equals wheat is equals that story that I saw the other day, imported wheat and the effect on farmers. And then, it's also connecting with the malnutrition levels in the country, which was also another story that was big. And we had a story here that people are not able to afford a meal a day, so proper balanced diet. So it's leading to greater malnutrition levels. As you're doing all those things and you're connecting, the thing about us is we get mad about it and we talk about it and we see this is a question that we need to ask the person who comes here next.
Right.
This is an issue that we need to then start shaping conversations around. You are looking at it and saying, okay, so how do I tell this story in a way that will captivate somebody's mind, but also at the same time make this somebody see the funny side of it, but the not funny side of it. Like funny, not funny.
That's it.
Funny, not funny.
Right? So you are your own therapist, but at the same time you are still just in the thick of it.
Right.
How did you start this? What got you here, Justine?
I love that you do that. Like, I'm my own therapist. I think that's fairly untrue. It helps. It does help, but it's. I don't think I've gotten there yet. But I started comedy 7 years ago. I had a really bad job. I know my boss doesn't really watch the news. My former boss doesn't really watch the news. But I started comedy 7 years ago. I didn't know what I was doing, but I'll say thank you so much to Trevor Noah for getting the Daily Show gig, because I felt like seeing him there made me feel like I could do comedy. I just didn't know what it was in the beginning. And it took a lot of studying. The great Mariam knows this. I'm a big John Oliver fan, Jon Stewart. And one of my favorite things about Jon Stewart's work, even Trevor's work, but particularly Jon Stewart, because I had to follow the whole journey. Right. He was fighting for 9/11 first responders who were not paid. They did not have health care after 9/11 happened, and they were the first people with the dust in their lungs and everything. And I remember seeing that story, and he walked that journey with them for 10 years. I think probably more than 10, because they've been fighting for healthcare ever since. And I think they could not get any kind of federal support for healthcare. And I think 2 years ago, if I'm not wrong, or like a year back, he was able to help them get there. And that fight is not easy. So when I was seeing that, I was like, okay, it's not just comedy. It doesn't live in isolation. It can have impact. The stories are difficult, but you can be funny, but at the same time, you can change how people have conversations, how people engage with very difficult journeys, politically, socially, economically. And I think that's what kind of drove me to continue doing my work. So Fake Work, it will be 4 years old this year.
Wow.
Yes. So like I've really fought for my sanity for the most part.
Wow.
But yes.
Well done. And you've grown in numbers. Just looking at your TikTok channel and the followers that you have, the kind of views that you get and the likes that you have. It's impressive. Let's take a break. We come back and continue talking to Justine. Fake Walk with Justine. Go to TikTok and search and you'll find it. Fake Walk with Justine. And you will see the kind of content that she creates. She says it's news satire, inspired by the likes of John Oliver, Jon Stewart, Trevor Noah, and I'm sure locally then you are a big consumer of Mad World.
Absolutely.
And the Gado and XYZ.
Yes.
And TMI with Ty.
And TMI with I have a full list. If you'll allow me, I'll do a whole list.
Very good. We'll do that.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. What do you think of this? Consume that content, and how do you see this kind of content also being part of activism and creating wokeness, creating awareness among people who may not just go into watching the hard news, and they actually consume and they get informed from this content, and how does that affect and impact our thinking of governance? We'll be back shortly. It's 29 minutes to 8. You know, if you go to TikTok right now and you start searching fake walk, it'll bring Fake Walk. Walk ya kutembea with Justine. And we have her here, but she's not Fake Walk, she's Fake Walk. With Justine. Walk. Awake, awoke, awoken. Fake Walk with Justine. And she's doing pretty well. Good numbers on TikTok. Good likes on TikTok. But what is walk? What's Fake Walk?
Okay, so first of all, I'd just like to clarify, the woke is the definition, the black people definition, the original African-American definition, not the other co-opted one that is being used by propaganda media.
Okay.
Yeah, there are people who actually don't know, the original woke just means to be awake, to know what's happening with you. So I used fake woke as like a joke. It's a joke to me. I really am not that awake. Exactly. Yeah, I get to make jokes about it because sometimes I can also fall short because I'm not like a traditionally trained journalist. And I know sometimes I tackle very serious topics, but I'm a joker. I'm a comedian at the end of the day. So I think that's the distinction. That's how I came up with my name. It's just a joke. I wrote a joke as the name of my show. Yeah.
I'm fake woke.
Fake woke.
Yeah.
Right.
With Justine.
I like it, to be honest, because it's a disclaimer, one, but it's telling you off the bat, this is who I am. These are your expectations. Now, like you said, you handle quite a number of heavy things, and there's people's expectations. Then there's the work that needs to be done. Then there is what people think is funny, what they don't. Like, do you straddle that line of trying to make content that is funny and appealing, or just trying to make content that is good?
The latter.
The latter. Okay.
It's always try to make as many good things as you can. And also, if you're an artist, it's inherently in you. When you start doing things for other people, you can just feel yourself kind of sailing away from your art form. You start feel the mediocrity kind of just like hugging you from behind like a bodaga. It's very, you can feel it. So I'm usually very aware when I start feeling like, oh, do I need to do this for people? And I have to stop myself. Okay. It's like if it's not appealing to my sense of creation, I think twice about it before putting it out there.
I like that. You think twice. A lot of our politicians think once, or I don't know.
They think
So the content bit, is it easy? Is it hard? Because I look at it and I'm like, across the world, I feel like comedians and political satirists are having the easiest time because the content just keeps coming.
The jokes write themselves.
They're writing themselves. Is it easier or is it hard right now to create?
I'll say it's both. Sometimes you find a really good day. Like the Chapo day was a good day. There were so many memes. Yeah. So I think also like when you look at so many memes, you feel like, okay, these are the jokes I can't do. Like I have to figure out my own original jokes because you're adding something to the conversation. You can't just repeat jokes that people have said. It has to be inherently fresh, original, and I think that's where the difficulty comes in. Because you're trying to be authentic. You're trying to be, I am as true to the art form as possible. But then that becomes difficult, especially if you have to do it daily, because the joke you've thought of first, 6,000 people have already thought of that joke, so you have to throw that one outside. But it's also hard because some of the stories that I do are not jokey jokes kind of stories.
They're not ha-ha.
Yeah, they're not ha-ha. So I'm always trying to figure out the funny, and when I can and it's a flop, I usually just do like a straight to camera. Today I have no jokes, guys, but this is the story you need to know about. Yeah.
I think it's a difficult thing just trying to imagine that this joke, in the way we know jokes, they've got to make somebody smile, laugh, find humor in it. And sometimes it's not about the humor. It's about the absurdity of it. Because, it's also that. This is so, like, this wheat story, the way you've brought it out is not ha-ha-ha. It's the, oh my God, it's the absurdity, like, really. Even when people are reacting to the Chapo, so there are those that created funny memes that you just look at and you're laughing. But the thread of it is, the pushback was the absurdity. Like, chapati ndio umeona ndio
priority.
Shida tuko nayo kubwa sana. Right? Ni chapati ndio umeona, right? See hata shule, see the fact that hawa watu hiyo wana classroom. See the fact that hawa watu hiyo wanakuja shule bila uniform. Ni chapati ndio umeona. Hiyo ndio umeona, hiyo ndio. That's the thread in the anger. Now for you, when you see this, and then to connect with the other things and not go into classroom but go into wheat, I think that's where the genius comes in for you. And it's like, the eCitizen one. Let's play it, Philo, if we can get it, the eCitizen, and look at what Justine was saying for the eCitizen clip.
Here at eCitizen, we make sure you receive
So, the first time it played, all of us thought, okay, so the sound has kuffered.
Yeah. The video is
what
buffering.
Happened? Well, you started talking and then you stopped.
Yeah.
What happened?
But
there?
that's how eCitizen works.
Describe that video for the Nation FM audience. So,
that's right. We have our radio audience who are not able to see that clip.
Okay.
But walk us through. You start talking.
Okay. So the essence of the video is how eCitizen already is malfunctional. It's not like the best website out there. And considering it has so many government services on it,
22,000.
Creators know the eTeams struggle. So every single person is on that website. You're paying an inconvenience fee. You're paying that and it's still not loading. So the essence of that video, when I start talking, like the sound cuts off and then the video starts loading, like it has like a buffer sign, and then it goes into a segmented section where there's a poverty line in the middle, and above the poverty line is the premium services. So you click for the premium services, which you have to pay for. When you already pay taxes, you're already paying the convenience. You're paying so much, but you still have to pay for the premium services. But for the rest of us who are under the poverty line, we have to take the regular, struggling eCitizen service. Yeah, and that's on top of the fact that the eCitizen website and also the what are they called, the technical company. Webmasters. I was trying to find their name. Webmasters who run the platform or provide services for the platform have said that the site is still vulnerable to cyber attacks. So you're out there, your information is out there, and it could still be hacked. But it's like, but it's premium service though.
Right.
And I'm like, that's the absurdity in it for me, as you were saying, Eric. Like every single part of it, it just becomes worse. So when the video cuts off, it's mostly like the silencing of our dissenting voices around that, because we have to continue paying anyway.
Right.
Yes.
Yesterday we had actually the founder of Webmasters here in studio, and we discussed that fast charging thing. And he said, and Eric was also arguing, but everywhere in the world you can fast track services.
Yes.
You can pay a convenience fee to get to jump the visa queue, or nini. Even going to business class versus economy, that's fast tracking everything, right? Not fast tracking, but premium. But walk me through why that is problematic. You've put it very well, like right there, but just why it's problematic that there's a poverty line, you're above the poverty line, you fast track your service.
Yes.
Below.
Okay, so for me, there's two things that are very stark in that. If you're paying for a service, the service should at least work at its basic level. If you're getting a premium service, it's because you don't have, like, your time is so squashed, so that the premium service is not excluding other people from the services that they're supposed to get anyway. At the moment, all of us are barely getting any services. It's almost like, yo, please help me. And that's like, that's just using. No
bundles.
No, it's not about.
Which eCitizen do you use? Maybe you have the fast track one.
Do you
already.
have the premium eCitizen?
Yeah, eCitizen tu ya kawaida.
Okay, so I personally try and use the website for eTeams.
Oh, eTeams now, that's a different story.
And then sometimes, as an artist, that invoice is your poverty line. You're like, I really hope this this particular eTeams receipt, I can get it today. Because if you can get it today, you can get your payment.
Yeah.
And in turn, you are able to pay the taxes that the government requires of you. So if the eCitizen, or like say the eCitizen forum platform is supposed to work, and it doesn't work when it's supposed to work, but can only work when you pay a premium fee, that means it's excluding people from a service that they're supposed to be getting anyway. And it doesn't help the fact that we're already paying for it to run. So you're not doing the government a favor. Like, that's a service they're supposed to be providing. You're already paying for that service in your taxes, in using it again and again. So when they say click here for faster services, it means all the things that you paid before that don't matter.
Right. Every tax, every convenience fee, every...
Yes.
Right.
And then the second part is the possible corruption that could happen after the fact. You could go there and you say, yeah, but I have premium. And then they're like, okay, but I'm the one serving you. And then... Yes.
Premium yako.
Yes. So it's like a double taxation kind of issue.
Premium yako kaa nayo. Do you see people reacting to your videos like they are understanding, Or do you see them just looking at it like, ha, 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 and moving on? Is it having an impact?
I think it's both. Sometimes we all have those days when you don't want to think too deep. You know, you want to do the Facebook thing and just swipe over. But sometimes I think it transcends. I think this happened during the finance bill breakdown. I'll go to finance bill 2023. I was like, the issue at the core of the finance bill 2023 that a lot of people are not seeing is land. It's always land. And then we've seen, and I think the Nation has published a couple of articles on this, on how land is now at the heart of residents probably being evicted or those houses becoming unviable in a couple of years. So when I was doing the breakdown for that, it was that. And at the time, a lot of people in the comment section were like, I don't think you are getting this right. The government just wants to help people. I was like, okay. Rudini in 2 years, mwone kama si a land issue. And that actually happened. And some people are revisiting the video and they're like, okay, I understand why this is problematic and why any kind of bill like this is passed. We should look at this in the future, how that will look like. Yes. And like, I'm looking at the clips that you created, the content you created around Finance Bill 2023. You had a 5-part series. Yes.
Right.
Yeah? The first one was Tell the Streets It's Taxes Season. And then you went to Suggestion Book, your finance bill, right? Now open. So, I mean, this is now when we can now start giving our feedback. And you're creating awareness around that. Then Housing Levy Breakdown. And I think this got the highest number of responses and views and likes, 150,000 views. Part 4 was Finance Bill. I see some changes, but not really. And then the last one, Our Problems Have Just Opened in Theaters. Right? Yeah. I love this. I love the fact that you took your time to sensitize your followers and your audience around something. You've taken time to consume the finance bill, to take the issues that you think these ones could be problematic issues. But then the second bit of it, because you're speaking to an audience that is actually believing you, you then have to feel that burden. It's a heavy burden of making sure that you're telling them factual information. How do you go about getting the facts right on a technical subject like the finance bill?
I'll say there's a lot of people online. I think Bungelama Youth have a very good platform where they share every single article or like bill proposal or anything that's going into Parliament or the Senate. So sometimes I go to Bunge la Mayut to look for that, or Mzalendo Watch. There's people who already do the work sometimes. So it's just finding the link to the actual I have to go to the government website, always the Parliament website every time, because usually even if I want to do a story and I cannot find it on the parliamentary website, I have reservations because I could be spreading misinformation. Because I think last year people were saying Finance Bill 2025 is coming, and I was like, please share the link so that I don't send panic to people who probably use my platform as a source purely for information. Yes. So I try as much as possible to go to the actual sources, even if it's shared in like a news article like this. I'm like, okay, this journalist obviously verified this story. So in case there's backlash, I can be like, okay, it was in the Nation. I'm not just speaking out of my own turn. If it's, I have to speak to someone in person, I'll make maybe a phone call, but never like reveal the sources unless they are very okay with it. So I do a lot of like journalistic work so that the work is supported. I
was going to say that you say you had no formal, media, like journalism training, but you have a grasp and a good one of like media ethics. Was that intentional, something that you sought after, or you learned along the way?
I think it's both. Because sometimes there's a day, I think I did a story that was shared by one of the popular, they're not like a newspaper, but they have a lot of traction.
Publication.
So I saw the story and I was like, it got me riled up. And then I shared it, and then I couldn't find any other source. And then I was like, bland. But like a little later, and then later someone shared an actual news story that was like well written, and I wasn't wrong. I was like, okay, I escaped that one. From that day, I'm like, okay, verify before. So if I had the training, I would have known to do that before. But because I almost blundered that one time,
Right.
never
Learned
again.
your lesson.
Yeah.
Trust, but always verify. Trust, yes, I trust. I even trust that this publication may have done its background work, but I've got to verify that they are quoting a report. Can I see that report myself? It may be a misinterpretation of understanding of that report, you know, and it's always important. I want to come back onto, because now we have people like you who are creating content, and the majority of the consumer of this content is the younger audience. Are younger people getting more involved? And by more, I mean by percentage, in terms of the percentage of the population. Because we have always had young people involved. Even Orengo was once young and he was very, very engaged.
Yeah.
And the former CJ, Willie Mutunga, was once young, and they were very engaged with Kina Maina K and the others. They were young. There were few. Do we have more young people?
I think if you go onto TikTok, and as much as that particular place sometimes has a lot of sensitization of issues, people only know how to engage when they feel riled up. And young people want to be spoken with, not just to. People don't want just someone who comes and tells them, this is what you should be worried about. It's like, okay, this is what you should be worried about, and maybe this is what you can do. I think that's where they feel that they can't do something or they can't contribute. So I think young people are more engaged. There's like a bigger pool of people who care about very sensitive issues now, and they're also finding ways to not just be passive about the stories and be mad about the stories. It's also, okay, what can we do to change? Because if you can remember, I don't remember the bit exactly, but a lot of people sent in their public participation. I think it was the first time when Senator Cherargei said that they're trying to extend the presidential term and terms for MCAs. And I'm like, you people are not tired? Like, why would you want to do one job for 5 years and just like keep going? Especially if you want to go and like beg people, like, please elect me. Like, are you not worried about? Yeah, so a lot of people were engaged. They were very mad, but they also went out, sought out the information, shared with everyone. This is how you can contribute. This is how you can share. This is how you can publicly participate directly. If you need to show up to a panel, these are the areas you can go. If you need to do like a baraza, these are the people you can contact. So it doesn't just end online. A lot of people are participating, and a lot of young people are creating the space that they can participate, not just online, but offline too.
We need to wrap up because of time, and because we also want to cover some breaking news that's coming in from Miga right now. But just before that, I just want to know, as a parting shot from you, Justine, what does... okay, we'll get maybe a parting shot in just a minute. But yeah...
Let's talk about this huge accident that took place at about 2 a.m. last night on the Eldoret-Nakuru highway. Miga Black Spot. It has killed 13 people, including 8 men, 4 women, and a minor. The accident involved an 11-seater Kitale shuttle bus heading to Nairobi, which was hit from behind by a truck that was traveling in the same direction. So a truck traveling to Nairobi and a shuttle traveling to Nairobi, truck rams into the shuttle, and it leaves that kind of carnage and death. Molo Sub-County Police Commander Timon Ondingo has confirmed the accident, where these 13 people have died. And this area is a black spot. The Miga area is a black spot of accidents. Really, really, really sad in terms of just this kind of numbers. 8 men, 4 women, 1 child died in this horrible, horrible, horrible crash. Yeah, we'll be also following up this in our news fix in the next hours as we get more details of what's happened and what's gone on. But you were asking her for the parting shot.
Yes, I just wanted to get a parting shot. And perhaps even as you see a story like that, what jumps at you?
I think one of the most tragic things about how we talk about road safety, and this I can point it out to the story of the person who was killed by the presidential motorcade yesterday. When we say black spot, these are areas that are known to be unsafe. Yeah. And most of the times you'll realize there are no street lights, there's no signage, there's no there's almost no infrastructure to help these places not be black spots. And I'm not taking away from reckless drivers. People are reckless out there, but at the same time, if a place is a non-black spot, there has to be a lot more infrastructural support so that it becomes less of a black spot over time. So, yeah.
Please repeat that many times. I always say accident black spots have a design issue. Right?
It's a design issue.
There's a design issue here. I mean, why is it a black spot? Why are there no accidents 7 kilometers before this spot? Why here?
Yeah.
And so what should you do around there then to make it as safe as the 7 kilometers before?
And we've seen instances where black spots just underwent minor changes. Something as simple as putting barriers in between in places where there tends to be head-on collisions or climbing lanes that are not lit, things like that. And it makes a huge difference, a world of difference. So yes, we do have careless drivers sometimes. We do have drunk drivers. We have all of that. But a lot of the times it's also just an infrastructure issue. Please give us your parting shot. Fake Woke with Justine. What are you telling to anybody who is watching right now, who is a consumer of satire, a consumer of news, a consumer of everything, who sometimes gets a little bit exhausted by it, as someone who has been through it?
Yeah. I don't have like a magical word, but I
want a quotable quote.
Yeah, no, I do have a quotable quote, just in a minute. But I like to think the reason we engage with stories so much, regardless of the platform, is because we care. We care a lot about these issues, how they affect us, and their long-term effects in our lives or in other people's lives. And our lives are tethered to each other. So anyone consuming satire, just because you want to laugh doesn't mean you're escaping it. And I'm going to end this with 2 quotes. One from one of my favorite comedians out at the moment. Also, just can I say, shout out to all my comedy friends from Stand Up Collective. You guys are amazing. I think they're the support structure that kind of helps me keep going, because everyone is doing something incredible. And to my family too. I know if my brother is watching, it's like, how could you say kwa TV? But yeah.
When you comedy work.
So I just had to get that out there. But at the same time, one of my favorite quotes, the first one I'll say is from one of my favorite comedians at the moment. His name is Josh Johnson. And Josh says, art can save your life, but entertainment cannot completely save you, because it's escapism. And no one has ever escaped their chains by forgetting they were there. So you always have to remember, even if you laugh and you feel like, oh, this is really good work, you have to remember, beyond the jokes and the laughter, there's also work to be done.
Right.
And then my last, this is my favorite quote that I came up with, is never be comfortable with the comforts of your own stupidity.
Woo.
Never be comfortable with the comfort of your own stupidity.
Yes, or
Who
never
said
be
that?
coddled.
Justine Wanda.
Yes. Or never be coddled by the comforts of your own stupidity.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Justine.
Thank
you for making time for us. If you have some extra time, we're just about to get into a baraza with some students from universities across Kenya discussing the new university funding model, how it's affected them. You can see them on screen right now. They're just waiting for us to get down there and, of course, start the conversation. But yeah, we want to know how this funding model is working and not working. I think it's more on one side, but yes, let's dissect it from the people who are living it, because we've spoken about it theoretically, we've spoken about band 1, band 2 as articles on paper and, circulars from the ministry, but let's go hear from actual people who are living through this funding model, and more so just the state of the comrade. What's happening with our higher education as a whole? Cindy.
Yep. So from here, you'll be seeing us next from that auditorium with the students. It's 2 minutes after 8.